You are floating in the sea about 520 million years ago. The water is shallow and warm. The floor below you is covered in life, and it is calm. Soft animals graze on mats of bacteria. Worms filter the water. Nothing here is fast. Nothing here is armored. For most of Earth's history, more than 3 billion years, life stayed small, soft, and slow. For almost all of that span, it was single cells. Bodies large enough to see without a lens are a latecomer, and almost nothing has ever eaten anything else on purpose. Then something the length of your arm glides out of the dark. It has two clawed limbs folded under its head, a ring of hard plates for a mouth, and a pair of large eyes on stalks that lock onto movement. Down each side runs a row of flaps that ripple as it swims. It is hunting. The moment it arrives, the calm is over. Its name is Anomalocaris. You are looking at one of the first true predators on Earth, and at the day being alive turned dangerous. To see what it changed, start with the world it swam into. Before this, for hundreds of millions of years, the sea held the Ediacarans, soft, flat, frond-shaped things anchored to the bottom or lying on it. Some scientists call that lost world the Garden of Ediacara, because the fossils show almost no bite marks, no shells, no claws, no sign of a fight. Animals fed on the bacterial film coating the seabed. Thick microbial mats covered the floor, and few animals dug into them. There was little reason to hide, and little to hide from. Then the Cambrian opened, and animal life burst outward into thousands of new shapes, in a stretch of time short enough to surprise the scientists who first mapped it. Most of the major animal groups alive today, including the one that leads to you, first show up in this window. The floor filled with early arthropods, worms, sponges, and grazers. But look closely, and you notice what is still missing. Almost nothing has a shell. Almost nothing carries a spine, a shield, or a spike. These animals are built to feed, not to fight or flee. There is no reason to run, because nothing large is hunting. That balance is about to break, and one animal breaks it. So look at the hunter. Anomalocaris belonged to a group called the radiodonts, and it grew up to about a meter long. In a sea where most animals were the size of your finger, that made it a giant, larger than anything near it. For its whole reign, nothing else came close to its size. The name means abnormal shrimp, because the first fossil anyone found of it was a single front limb, and scientists took that curled limb for the body of a shrimp. They were wrong, but the name stuck. Each front limb was lined with spikes and could sweep prey back toward the mouth. That mouth sat on the underside as a ring of overlapping plates that closed inward, though many specimens show it could not fully shut, which is part of why its diet is still argued over. Its eyes were the standout. One pair found in the Emu Bay Shale in Australia held more than 16,000 lenses each, which gave it some of the sharpest sight of its age. The flaps along its body beat in a wave and let it swim prey down instead of waiting for food to drift past. Picture the attack. The eyes pick up a trilobite crossing the open floor. The flaps drive the body forward. The two limbs snap out, hook the prey, and fold it under the plated mouth. In a world where nothing had done this before, there was no defense for it yet. We are not guessing about any of this. The fossils come from places where even soft tissue pressed into the rock. Above all, the Burgess Shale in Canada, dug out in 1909, and the Chengjiang beds in China, around 518 million years old. At the Burgess site alone, collectors pulled out tens of thousands of specimens, buried so fast in fine mud that gills and guts survived as thin films. From the same rocks come trilobites with healed bite marks and chunks torn from their sides, the scars of attacks they lived through. Fossil droppings turn up packed with crushed shell. Stranger still, more of those healed scars sit on the right side of the body than the left, a hint that the prey tended to bolt the same way, or that the hunter came in from one side. There is a real argument about how much hard prey Anomalocaris could handle, since that plated mouth may have been too weak to crack a thick trilobite, so it may have taken softer victims instead. The wider point still holds. For the first time, the record shows animals getting hunted, fighting back, and surviving with the wound. It marks something bigger, too. This is the first time Earth had a food chain with real layers. Things that made their own food, things that ate them, and a hunter sitting above the things that ate them. Anomalocaris was that top level. Before this, the worst thing that could happen to an animal was to starve. Now there was a second way to die, and it could come looking for you. That single shift still shapes every food web alive today. That one change set off everything after it. Once a hunter sits at the top, staying soft and slow stops paying. Any animal with a thicker cover, a sharper spine, or a faster escape lives a little longer and leaves more young behind. Nothing here decided to change. The ones born with a little more cover simply lived to breed, and the rest did not. Within a few million years, the seafloor fills with defenses. The very base of the Cambrian rock is full of tiny shells, spines, and plates. So many that geologists name them the small shelly fossils. They are the hard parts of soft animals starting to build cover, the armor surge written straight into the stone. Trilobites thicken their shells and learn to roll into a ball, tucking the soft underside away. And that armor worked so well that trilobites went on to survive more than 250 million years. Animals like Wiwaxia grow rows of scales and spines. Others, like Hallucigenia, carry spikes down the back. Many start digging, and the burrowing tears up the old microbial mats and reworks the seabed itself. Vision spreads fast on both sides, because a predator that sees better catches more, and prey that spots the predator first gets away. One zoologist, Andrew Parker, argues that the arrival of the eye is what triggered the whole explosion, turning a slow world into a visual hunt. If you want to see where that race leads, subscribe, because that is the rest of this story. Nobody is fully sure why all of this fired off when it did. Three ideas compete. Oxygen in the sea and air climbed past a level that could fuel bigger, more active bodies. And we read those old oxygen levels straight out of the chemistry of the rock, layer by layer. The genetic toolkit for building complex shapes came together, so animals could grow limbs, eyes, and guts in new combinations. And predation itself, led by hunters like Anomalocaris, forced everything to change or die. Most likely, all three pushed at once. The whole restructuring took a few million years, a sliver of deep time, which is exactly why the word explosion stuck. The honest answer is that the trigger is still open, and that open question is half of why the period pulls people in. Here is the part that reaches you. The pressure that started in this sea never let up. It kept selecting for speed, for sharper senses, for better armor, generation after generation. Follow that line forward and you pass through the first animals with a stiff rod running down the back. The early fish-like creatures, like Milocunmingia, found in these same Chinese beds. That rod becomes a spine. The spine carries a line through fish, through the first animals to drag themselves onto land, and ends, for now, at you. The eyes you are reading this with, the spine holding you upright, the jolt that makes you flinch when something moves fast at the edge of your sight, all of it traces back to a world learning, for the first time, that it could be eaten. That flinch is one of the fastest things your body does, set off before you even know what moved. Tap like if a half-billion-year-old fight still running inside your own body is the sort of thing you want more of. So this is what Anomalocaris really was, the start of a rule that has run without a single break since. Eat or be eaten. Every shell, every claw, every fast pulse of fear in every animal alive, you included, is an answer to a question this creature asked first. Which leaves one question for you. Drop back into that warm Cambrian sea and watch those flaps ripple closer. Are you the hunter, or are you the soft, slow thing with nowhere left to hide? Tell me in the comments, because the water that looked so calm stayed calm for only a little longer. Something the length of your arm was already gliding out of the dark.